Hello and welcome to Lasers and Lace.
Hey, Happy New Year! I haven't seen you guys in forever.
Welcome. Love the face, Convict.
Hello, sorry. Hi. Yes, I'm here. Here,
and then here, we're going to start off with our wonderful intro.
Welcome to Lasers and Lace. You've got Delana and Ivy and Mal and sometimes Rain. Subscribe for free on Twitch TV with Prime Gaming. Lasers and Lace.
I freaking love that. Redline did such a great job with that.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love it. It's wonderful.
We're here recruiting. Thank you for raiding, Rain. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the raid. Also, I'm sorry I'm hosting tonight, but guys, don't worry. Mal got a bonus last year. Mal upgraded the fucking computer, so no more glitchiness unless my internet shits the bed again.
Well, hopefully your dad doesn't cut the cord.
The night is young. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
But yeah, no. Yeah, so if you hear the clicking, I'm sorry, that's just me monitoring the stream, like you know, as always. But yeah, continue. Sorry.
Mal is on the ball. Mal does the thing. While I'm here, I have to point out, and I told my lovely people this beforehand, but this is Ivy on coffee. Ivy never drinks coffee because I don't like it. But a certain Dominus Nolan turned me into like the epitome of the basic bitch from Starbucks as I stood there the other day ordering my mocha frappuccino with extra whip as I'm wearing my leggings and Ugg boots. So, Dominus Nolan, this creature that they're getting tonight is all your fault.
You did
Thanks
this.
for the sub, Manic. Thank you, Manic. It's yummies. So yes, today on Lasers and Lace, this is the very first episode of the new year, and we have a special treat in store for you guys. This week, we have the fabulous, the wonderful, one of our own, CCP Convict. How are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm good. Thank you for inviting me on the show, and it's an honor to be the very first guest of 2021, which is destined to be the best year ever.
Well, it's been a pretty exciting 2021 so far.
Well, the bar is pretty low, but it's only up from here.
He's on the old Cheetah 4-4.
Say again.
Somebody in comments was saying it looks like Convict is floating in space just off the Cheetah docks somewhere he
Yeah.
has been before. I'm like, yeah, you're on the old Cheetah 4-4.
Yeah, and I'm used to floating in space.
And one of our own question mark is Convict wearing lace and wielding lasers? No, he used to be an Eve player. He is what every Eve player who dreams of working at CCP has become. Like, he is the bar of what people want to do.
Living the dream, as it were.
We are not gonna bombard CCP Convict guys with server issue questions because that's not why we're here tonight.
And also,
We are.
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, and also it's just one people did actually ask me about, like, are we gonna grill Convict about this? And my response was, he's a community dev. He's responsible with the community relations and everything. So why should we be bothering him, like harassing him
With technical stuff.
Exactly. So it's just everyone that does. Also, you did get called Daddy Convict by another one on the Lasers and Lace. But yeah, no, it's just like I was saying.
That's another conversation altogether, Daddy.
Oh God.
Oh. And it's begun. Dun dun dun. Anyways,
but yeah,
we warned you.
Yeah, like I was saying, why? Like, I understand people are pissy about everything. That's totally fine. But also, CCP Convict and all the other community devs do not deserve this. They have
No, they do not.
Number one, it's thank you. It's just kind of part of the job, though, having to sort of tank that kind of stuff. I mean, like, if people actually want to ask me questions about, like, like server stability or game design or balance, it's like, man, you're barking up the wrong tree anyway. Like,
Hearts for CCP. Aw, so nice.
Thank you.
Okay, so first and foremost, this is going to be like an interview-ish type question, and my lovely co-hosts, we're going to chime in here, but you started out as a little bitty Eve player. Tell us about your backstory of who you were before you were CCP Convict.
all right. I don't know. Do you want me to start from the beginning or just from when things started to get, like, interesting?
Whichever one is more noteworthy, I guess.
I'll give you the rigid version of the
TDLR.
The early years. Yeah, I started playing in 2004, and I got there used to be this other science fiction MMO called Earth and Beyond, which was out around the same time. It was sort of like EVE Online's main competitor. And at the time, I was, like, really active in, like, the homeworld community, what it was, like IRC and things like that. And because all the homeworld players gravitated to either EVE Online or Earth and Beyond, those were the two MMOs that were being played in the community. I wasn't playing either of them at the time. But then Earth and Beyond, which was run by Electronic Arts, I think, announced that it was folding, and they're going to pull the plug on the servers. And so all of the EVE players in the homeworld community were trying to get all the Earth and Beyond players to come over and play EVE with them. and I was just hanging out on IRC and seeing forum posts about it every single night. I was hanging out with these nerds, so I kind of got like caught up in that torrent of people migrating from Earth
The
and
mob.
Beyond to EVE Online. It was actually Sir Molly, who was a prominent person in the Homeworld community, was like, "Hey, you should come and play EVE." And I was like, I don't know. At the time, I was living in a really sort of remote part of Australia with dial-up internet and horrible ping, and I'm like, man, like MMOs aren't for me. I tried playing Ultima Online and I just got murdered all the time because my lag was so bad I'd be dead before I even knew I was being attacked. And he said, no, actually, EVE's actually a very forgiving game if you got a really bad ping, so you should give it a try. So I eventually acquiesced and I installed it and started playing it and went through a cycle of, I think it's probably familiar to a lot of people, where I'd play for several months and then put it down and then come back to it because there'd be something about the game, and it would just be a matter of trying to figure out what it was for me that would make me stick around. And eventually it was when I joined a corporation which was just full of fantastic people and had a really cool atmosphere and really, really cool attitude. And that's what sort of got me logging in every single day and took me from just being someone who would sort of, tinker around for a few months at a time and hang the game up. Yeah, exactly. So, and that, that sort of early education and the strength and the value of the community is probably a lesson that kind of like, sort of had a lot of influence on me from then on in terms of like coming down this path, because a friend of mine who I'm just trying to get the way the domino sort of fell on my mind the right way. Oh yeah. So around about 2012-ish, a friend of mine who lived in the same city as me, who I incidentally just sort of found on the EVE forums looking up searching for my city name because I wanted to go and hang out with some EVE nerds because I just watched like the FanFest stream or something for the first time and thought that looks like a lot of fun. I found some people who were playing EVE in Adelaide in Australia where I was living at the time, and they had a semi-regular pub meetup, so I went out and started hanging out with them, and I'm like, hey, this is really cool. It turns out EVE nerds are all right. And then we got wind of this event that was happening in Australia called EVE Down Under in 2012. And my friend, who was like, hey, do you want to go and check this thing out? It's in Sydney. It means a plane ride, but it could be fun. And I was like, well, if the pub meetups are fun, let's go hang out with, even more people. So we got on a plane, we flew to Sydney, we stayed in the crappiest, like flea-bitten, like hostel type thing for a few days while we went to the event. And I had a freaking great time. And while I was at the event, it was when I made friends with the organizer, RDNX. And on the last night, he was just sort of going around grabbing a few people and saying, hey, like I booked a table at a restaurant. Do you want to come and have dinner? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so I went. I'm pretty sure my friend went with me as well. And another guy I met there, Dark Razor, went, and one or two others. And over the course of the dinner, I was just in this guy's ear the whole time. I'm like, hey, this was great, but you know how it could be better? And eventually he was like, do you just want to like help me run it next year or something? I was like, sure, why not? Yeah, let's do that. And then I got involved with EVE Down Under, and Dark Razor would eventually become CCP Larrikin, and the guy that I flew there with and shared a crappy hotel room would eventually become CCP Bartender. One of our software engineers. It was kind of really crazy how like that one event sort of turned into this this thing that dragged all three of us down this path towards CCP. Yeah, all at different times, more or less, though, like not related to jobs, were completely unrelated to each other that we went and joined CCP for, and those kinds of things. It was just the exposure that those events gave me to community sort of stuff. I started going to FanFest. I went to like FanFest 5 times in a row. I went to eVegas 4 times in a row. I just got to know everyone at CCP really well, and so many cool people in the community. And then eventually, I think about 2015-ish, I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to keep my ear to the ground for an opportunity to work in community at CCP. I think that would be really cool. And so here I am.
So what was your favorite part of when you were a player? Your favorite thing in doing EVE? Were you a wormholer, high sec, low sec? What did you do?
I think actually, I'm going to say probably the thing. So like there were 2, I guess, formative moments in that respect. That aforementioned corporation that I talked about that I found and joined, they were called Intersun Freelance, and they're in the initiative now. But at the time, they were just sort of like an independent corporation who tried to do like a jack of all trades, multi-time zone, multi-activity thing. So they had high sec for industrialists. They had and they used to hang out in Syndicate for PvP purposes. They had standings with a couple of people in the area, and then there were other people that would shoot on the reg. Like we used to fight with EVE University because I think it was EZA. They had their nullsec campus in. I think they still do. and just go camp the Red Gate and Sex Taxi every day, until Russians came along and chased us away. Had some cool fights with Rote Capel and stuff there too. So that sort of like got me interested in the PvP side of things, which is something I'd never really concentrated too much on the game in before that. And again, it just comes to another player, this guy named Antithought, who one day joined the corporation, and he was returning to EVE after his own hiatus and wanted just to start off somewhere sort of like low key before he went back out into proper Subnol or something. And he was just a ferocious FC. He would just like whip the troops every night. And he'd be like, "Come on, log in, let's go. What sort of ships should we bring? Just grab whatever." And he would just like FC us and just like take us around Syndicate, not really worrying about things like, getting the comp just right, or if anyone screwed up and those kinds of things. And that sort of built my confidence a bit with PvP. So that was a significant one. And then the other one was I started to get interested in wormholes. And I spoke to our CEO and I was like, I'm kind of interested in doing some wormhole stuff. And he's like, we used to have a corp wormhole we could just, day trip in. But we packed it up because no one wanted to be responsible for running that project.
Wormholes
and
are
I was
amazing.
like, sorry?
I'm surprised you didn't pop in there. Pospy is recruiting.
Listen, Pospy is always fucking recruiting, alright? Continue. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, this gets super long-winded, so I'll
We
button
like
it up real
listening to
quick.
you talk. It's okay.
Oh, shucks. Well, the CEO was like, well, we still have the POS all packed up, so he had the POS stick and all the modules and a bunch of fuel and stuff. He's like, you can have it if you can find somewhere to stick it. So I was like, cool. I decided I wanted to get like a C2 with a high sec and a C3 static. I'd done all my homework and stuff and had been
You
practicing
did your
all my
homework.
scanning. Yeah, so I was like, I have to learn about wormholes. And I figured like my chances of finding the wormhole I want are pretty slim. And if I do want to find it, it's going to take a long time. So I basically allocated a whole weekend to just like jumping in like a buzzard and trying to find this, this
The
jackpot
perfect
wormhole,
hole.
which I wanted for the corp. C2 was kind of like the tier of difficulty I wanted us to go to, just so I could encourage people into it. And so as I cleared my schedules, this is going to take all weekend, and it was like the third wormhole I found was like a completely unoccupied C2 with a high sec static. And I think I had a pulsar as well, so it was even better, and a C3 static. So I planted the POS stick and we colonized the wormhole, and in I think 6 to 8 months we were living in there pretty much constantly, just doing sleeper sites, rolling the next door C3, occasionally having a brawl with whoever stuck their nose in. Blood Union used to sniff around a lot and try and get kills off us, which they could because we were really bad, but I had a great time. So early on when I started playing EVE, I was just sort of pressing F1 in null sec, but I quickly retreated back to high sec and then just went into this like cycle of quitting and restarting. Then about 2009-10, I found that corporation and just actually started to learn the game and try some things
Wormholes.
and take on some responsibility and that sort of stuff. And I think that's more than anything what contributed to my persistent interest in the game. And all of those things were enabled by other players. There was that the FC Antithought I mentioned, who sort of like, took me under his wing, gave me the confidence and the resilience to engage in PvP and lose, but still come back. And my corp CEO, who was just like, hey, if you've got an idea for something you want to try, in this case wormholes, it's like, we'll support you. We've got here's the POS stick and everything that you need. He just handed it over to me and was like, which was fairly valuable at the time. And he says, like, go do it, run the project, we'll back you up. So all those important moments were both engineered by other players who just sort of displayed some leadership or some confidence, and that really made all the difference for me in terms of sticking around and getting really, really deep into the game.
Kenneth is pointing out he's got some good stories about CCP Convict at EVE Vegas before he was at CCP. Wahaha. I want to hear some of these stories. I'm pretty sure Dan over there's going, shh, no, shh, no.
There was one of those, stays in Vegas stories. I won't go into details, but it did involve, I think it was myself and Drayden and one other person who escapes me right now invading Dirk's hotel room in the middle of the night, being wildly inappropriate when we arrived as well. I think
he's under an NDA now. Sorry.
Yeah, I think video of that exists, but I'm just hoping it never comes to the light of day.
Manic says I had a good time co-hosting EVE TV with Convict and Raid in Vegas 2016.
And I think, Manic, we worked together as well in FanFest in 2017. Was that the one when you did the opening ceremony with CCP Guard? And
It was 2017. That was my first FanFest.
Ah, right. Yeah, we had a bit of couch time in that one as well. That was actually huge for me. Because during that same fan fest, on the closing ceremony, myself and Nash Cadaver from Eve NT, we did CCP invited us to do the on stage portion of the roundup of the player gatherings for the past year, and that was a lot of fun. So being on the stage at Harper was very exciting, and probably the biggest stage I've ever been on.
I can only imagine, like, as a player, like, I know how I felt when CCP Guard cornered me in Vegas to ask me about Eve North for the World Tour, and I know how excited I was as an event organizer to be approached. I can only, like, imagine how amazing it must have been for you to be like Eve TV and then the Harpa. Like, that's huge.
Yeah, it was again just things going to an even bigger scale. I'd done the Eve TV hosting for, I think, the previous fan fest and also a Vegas before that, so I was kind of comfortable on the couch talking to guests and other devs. And by this stage, I'd spent so much time around CCP. I had good personal relationships with a lot of people there, so that was all familiar and comfortable. And yeah, when they said, "Hey, do you want to do the closing ceremony with Nash Cadaver?" my immediate reply was like, "Yeah, that sounds awesome." Then like a day or two before I actually had to do it, I was like, "Oh fuck!" I just realized what I've like committed myself to. We had the presentation, everything ready to go, and I'm just like, "Oh man." I like to think of myself as pretty outgoing. I can get up in front of a bunch of people and start talking, but you're talking about like a concert hall, the biggest concert hall in Reykjavik,
and that
I think
thing
the
was
scale
packed.
of that
it was packed.
Yeah. Luckily, it's one of those rooms when you're on the stage, it's just black out there, so you can't see anything. Yeah. And at least with Nash there, some diminished responsibility in the sense that if we choke, if we go down, we go down together.
It was 2017, like I said, that was my very first fan fest, and I've said this before in the past. One, I had no clue who CCP Guard was, and I always tell the story about how kind of Eve North got started for like pitching Toronto. I got brought down into this teeny tiny black hallway of the Harpa, and I've got this guy kind of dragging me along going, "Ivy, like, you're a people person, you can talk." And standing in the very back up against a window, it's the shortest person I had ever seen, and I'm like, okay, I have to pitch Toronto this year. I have no clue who this dude is, so I was like, blah blah blah, verbal diarrhea, because I can talk to just about anybody, as you've all seen. And then I found out after the fact who he was and what he was to the Eve community, and I'm like, oh, for the love of Christ.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but thank you very much, Car, for the gifting subs. Really fucking appreciate that. You have no idea how much that means to us.
Wow, thank you!
So here's the thing, though. We're actually normally trying to stream under New Eden Post, but since I rebuilt my PC and everything, I forgot that one little stream key. So this week we're streaming under Lasers and Lace. Next week we're gonna go back to New Eden Post, but New Eden Post is hosting us right now. So sorry, that's all my bad.
Redline, we love you.
Redline, we do love you. So yeah, just want to let you guys know. That's, for once, you could actually blame me, Mal, but like I feel like I saved everything. Now back to managing the stream.
Well, this is like a way that we can kind of transition them to.
This is true. Over to New Eden Post, where
yeah,
Redline is hosting us and giving us a new home, so we can get even bigger and better and be phenomenal cosmic powers in the Eve universe.
I have no doubt you'll accomplish this. So.
Ta-da!
So you're integrating the show with sort of like the media conglomerate of New Eden Post a little bit.
We are, yes. Yeah. Redline has probably been one of
phenomenal cosmic power.
Phenomenal cosmic power. But Redline, I have to give Redline a shout out. And I'm sorry, Convict, we're gonna peer away from you for a moment.
No, please, I think after the start of the show, people would welcome it.
Redline has been there pretty much since day one from us, when I blatantly insulted his show over and over and over again because I thought Trash Talk Tuesday was crap, until I got to know Redline better and saw what he was actually trying to do with his show. And I'm a very vocal person, and I don't care who likes my opinion, I'm going to give it when I want to give it. And it wasn't a very nice opinion of Redline, but Redline was there from day one for us. Redline has been there for almost every single show, in the audience, in the streams,
He's wonderful.
cheering us on, giving us amazing sound clips which make us laugh and smile every time we hear it.
This
Yeah,
one.
like right,
This
like
one.
right. And so Redline, mwah, we love you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Redline. And also, Redline helped produce Lasers and Lace with their very own fucking first piece of merch that I have yet to buy. I'm getting paid tomorrow, so I'm getting it.
Oh, I can't
But
wait.
it's a t-shirt that says, "Let's yeet the meat." And it's fucking amazing, and there's gonna be more shit like that. Go check it out. I did post it in there in the chat. And Redline is also a true awesome dude. He did offer to pay part of the proceeds towards a charity of my choice. So, like, on top of that, Redline being an awesome bro, like, that's even more. Oh, all proceeds. Hi, I'm a charity.
What?
I'm a hot mess. But no, we'll talk something out. But no, seriously, thank you very much, Redline. That's really fucking awesome. You're a fucking bro.
You're gonna
Alright.
make her cry. You're gonna make her cry.
I've already cried enough this week, okay?
Yeah, donate buy the shirt, and while we're like eat the meats one day.
Sometime this year, hopefully. Anyways, back to our regular paid
we'll get it up.
programming.
Back to I don't know what's the regular paid programming. We're like this. It's like da-da-da-da-da, and squirrel, and then we're off again. Okay, so event organizing stuff. We were going to talk about event organizing because you briefly kind of jumped the gun and started talking about Eve Down Under.
Yeah.
So we already know how you kind of got involved in Eve Down Under, but once that 2013 was it that you got fully involved, how did that kind of go about, and what was your role, and how did it kind of mold into what we see now?
For 2013, I guess at that stage, the original organizer, RDNX, was still handling the just logistics of the venue, signing the checks, booking, making the arrangements and all the equipment and AV and all that kind of stuff. I guess for that very first Fan Fest, and this was more of like an informal sort of arrangement where it's just where the chips fell as opposed to any kind of big plan from us. I became more responsible for content and for arranging, our speakers and just the sort of the structure and the flow of the event.
That's the hard part. That's the hard part. You got screwed, bud.
It can be challenging. I mean, it wasn't all me. It was RDNX was still doing a lot, and we still had like mostly for the day, but we still had several really dedicated volunteers that helped everything sort of run smoothly. People to monitor, the silent auction and that kind of thing, and help us get all of our junk set up. But just FanFest after FanFest, I just got more and more involved in it until in 2015, I want to say, RDNX was like, I'm done. This is taking this. I love doing it, but it takes too much time and all that sort of stuff. So 2015 was the one and only time I did the entire thing off my own back, and I felt like that was a pretty groovy year. That went all right, but unfortunately, just because of real life circumstances, I was kind of in the same position as RD by the end of that year, and then Chimera took it over and ran it for the next year or two, and now Sinalama is sort of running it. So it's a little bit, it's like being the Phantom when if you're the organizer of Eve Down Under, someone just pulls on the tights for a few years and then peels them off and hands them to the next person. Ooh.
Here's my sweaty tights. It's your turn, bud.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a
pretty
visual.
human in Australia too.
That's, I think, the equivalent of our Prime Minister speaking moistly with your "here's your tights, put them on" analogy. Like,
Yeah.
ugh.
But yeah, so that's just kind of how that went. So probably for me, the one I'm personally sort of the most, I guess, like proudest of and familiar with would be 2015, which was where I basically just did all the things. And the day that the event started, the volunteers showed up, and I was like, okay, here's everything you need. Please help me construct the event using all of this. But that was an event we held in I think in October or November, and I was literally on the phones and emails every day from February. Just to get all the vendors and all the agreements in place. And
I think it's good that you point out February when your event was in October or November.
Yeah.
Because people need to understand that when you're an event planner, this isn't something that we just go, hey, yeah, we're going to have this great thing and let's pick a random date. Oh, okay, now just show up. There is hours and hours and hours of background work being put into this that people don't see.
Yeah, it's huge. I was very fortunate at the time as well that I had a job which was very management hands-off for me, and I had a lot of autonomy and those kinds of things, because I did have to spend a not insignificant amount of time over the course of those months, just because there's certain things you can only do during business hours, certain vendors that you have to contact and those kinds of things. So I was able to have a couple of hours on any given day if I needed to run stuff down for Eve Down Under without affecting my other job, and then I could sort of make that up later if I wanted to. So if I don't know if it would have been quite as easy if I wasn't also fortunate enough to have a job where I sort of had that degree of flexibility as well, because I really needed that to get stuff done in that 9 to 5 window.
I again a nurse, so I did a lot of my stuff from my phone as I was trying to shoot on lunch breaks and stuff like that. But you can even ask my team. There was many a days where I'd finish work and I'd have a change of clothes in the back of my car, and I would change, and then I would drive into Toronto and meet vendors and stuff for setting up Eve North. So
yeah, sign contracts.
As somebody who's done it also, it's a little crazy when you're setting up, which is again, why I love the fact that you pointed out February, because I can't stress these people enough that if you want to do an event, it takes months and months and months of planning. Even you, Delana, you know this. It takes months. So if you're thinking of doing an Eve meet, do it. I'm definitely not in any way, shape, or form trying to dissuade you from planning wherever your new Eve meet may be. Eve Florida, Eve Boston, Eve Seattle. Do your meets, but they take time to plan.
It also depends on kind of what kind of scale you want to go to. I mean, you can organize just a bunch
Your
of people
local
to show up
e-meets,
to
yeah.
a pub, with a few forum posts, then you can show up and have a good time. But if you're someone who, if you're ambitious about how big you want to grow it and what the scale you want to get it to, whether you want it to be sort of develop into the next, sort of like Eve Vegas style event, or become one of those global tentpole events like Eve North or Eve Down Under eventually would do, then there's going to be a growing investment of time. But if you just want to catch up with a bunch of Eve players in your city, you can get by pretty easily. So it's up to you sort of how much you want to pour into it. But I think for a lot of people, for most of us who have gotten to that sort of a situation, Ivy, and from the other folks I've spoken to, normally it starts out kind of modest, but you get such an immense sense of gratification from looking around a room and seeing all these people laughing and talking and sharing stories and having a good time. I think you get like a dopamine hit from that makes you go geez, I did that. Look at all these people having a great time because I had that here, moment. And you just organically want to grow it.
I had that moment when it was Eve North 2019. And we were getting ready to do our pub crawl, and I remember our hotel hallway was packed full of people ready to go drink, and I had to stand up on a chair to get everybody's attention because there was no megaphone system or anything. And I remember standing on that chair, looking over the room for a minute and just going, this is phenomenal. These people are at my event. And then I saw the comms disciplines by going check, and everybody shut up. Not even one person kept talking. It was boof, silence. And I'm we're good now.
But yeah, if you ever considered organizing a player gathering, just
do it.
Start small.
And Eve North, we were monthly player meetups. We still are monthly player meetups. We go to the Stormcrow, or we go to some other restaurant and we sit, we eat, we drink, and then we leave. It's great.
Fortunately, the year that's been has kind of been a bit of a drag in terms of the number of player events that went ahead.
We've done some Discord Zoom calls. We do the Discord things and movie nights and games. We do, Jack in the Box. Those are fun. Everybody can log in from their phone, from wherever they are.
Even though the live events largely had to get cancelled, hopefully they're going to be back in some degree this year. CCP has already announced that we won't be doing any of our own live events this year because it's still too uncertain, and we don't want to put our players in a position again where we did last year, where it was like, hey, we had to pull the rug out from under your feet, which we actually kind of went early on canceling FanFest compared to sort of like just the mood at the time, and I think we were pretty much vindicated over the next month or two by all the other major events that slowly started closing up. So, but yeah, we don't want to introduce any more CCP run events until we're certain that we're not going to be confronting these same problems. And if there are any player organized gatherings going ahead this year, we may send people along to them on a case-by-case basis, just depending on whatever the advice is at the time about whether or not people are going to be safe, and obviously what observances around being safe are going to be put in place at those events. But
yeah, and on that note, I again, people, you're going to hear it first from me, and there will be an email sent out. But I've told you guys time and time again, I am a trauma nurse. I am working in Toronto. I am in the heart of Ontario COVID nastiness center. I had to intubate somebody in their car from COVID. And with all of the restrictions and everything going on, you guys who bought tickets for Eve North, you got the earliest early birds ever because I'm boosting the fleet again. You guys, to me, are so important. And if I had you guys come into an event and then suddenly get sick and something serious happen, I would be heartbroken. So I would rather face your anger. But fleet's boosted again, guys, to 2022 until COVID is brought under control and Ontario makes up their mind with what they're going to do with the borders and everything, because everything is shut down. Like Quebec's got curfews at 6 p.m. and Ontario's got kids out of school and online learning. So you guys, your safety is first and paramount to me.
Yeah.
So no, I'm sorry, guys. Fleet is boosted. Tickets are just going to get transferred to the new dates. And that's what we're going to do. And I will be releasing details in probably the next couple of days to a week. I just finished 12-hour shifts. I'm tired. I might sleep a day or two first, people, but there will be information coming. But I wanted you to hear it from me on our show with Convict here, because CCP had to be made aware also, because they were going to help us and be great partners yet again. But I love you guys. That's the decision from the Eve North team. And back to your scheduled viewing.
And I just want to step in if that's okay. Ivy, I understand that was a really, really fucking tough decision for you. And I just want to say, like, I completely understand. But you need to self-rep. Like, girl, fucking self-care, please. Like, you need to just go disconnect. You already made the announcement just now. Take fucking 5 days off, girl. Don't worry about writing the announcement. That could fucking wait, because guess what? It's not until next year. You got time. People understand. So don't worry. Like, seriously, take the fucking time for yourself.
You guys have no idea how much it hurts. Like, the Eve community is super important to me. I've told you my sob story. I've told lots of people my sob story. But you guys were my broadcast for reps as I went through so much in my life. So to me, Eve North is my way of repaying to the community. So I'm sorry, guys, but I do love you.
We'll gladly kill you in game, but not in real life.
I'll shoot you in the face with lasers.
And then...
Speaking of which, Gila is my favorite ship. Gila.
Now wait, question: Gila. Is it Gila or Gila?
I'm sorry, but it's always going to be Gila. It's never going to be Gila.
It's always.
My lovely CCP Convict. He has a which Gila skin do you have for me today?
The Helmet's Harrier's skin.
Ooh, so we need to think of a really good question, guys, and then whoever answers it correct in the audience is gonna get this fantastic skin from our fabulous guest.
Now wait, quick question: can we enter this too?
Sure, why not? So, I've got a good question, because I don't think anybody knows the answer to this one. How did you get your CCP Convict name? Like, let's see some random guesses in the stream here of how you came up with CCP Convict. 'Cause only you know the answer, I think, because I don't know how you got your name, unless you've told people. Is it because you're Australian?
I was just thinking that too.
Well, I mean, if the answer has been given, can I just say such?
Sure.
Yeah,
Who won?
pretty much coffin sleeper. Yeah, he just said he's Australian. And yeah, that's basically it.
There's
Oh, man, I
no
was gonna
funny
say
story
something
behind
like-
it. Come on.
Like arrested for stealing a kangaroo from the zoo.
Yeah.
Careful, Rick Javix will Photoshop that exact scenario now that you've mentioned it. He likes to stick kangaroos in
He
every photo
already
that I put on
has.
Twitter.
He already has. We have
Yeah.
that picture of me, you, and freaking Dominus, and was it Eldar? I think it was. And we got freaking no. It was
Yeah,
Burger.
that's right. The
With
kangaroo lurking over the
kangaroos
shoulder.
behind
Yep.
us.
There you go. Classic Ricks. But yeah,
Coffin
everyone at
Sleeper.
CCP gets to choose their own nickname
Coffin
pretty much,
Sleeper?
as far as I know. So,
Sorry, my apologies. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, we get to pick our own sort of like nicknames. I think some people like really relish it. Like I was excited about picking a dev name. I think some people come to work at CCP and they're like, oh, I need to pick a nickname. This will do, and they sort of don't. They just sort of go with the first thing that catches their eye. I actually agonized over Convict for a little while. I wanted to get something Australian because there's this semi-tradition of Australians at the company going for something a little bit parochial, you know, like CCP Larrikin, former CCP Drop Bear, CCP Nullarbor. CCP Logibro kind of screwed it up though. He ruined the pattern. But, even CCP Bartender is sort of like tenuously is related to being Australian. So yeah, I just went with Convict because I figured Convict is sort of an insult that usually the Brits use against Australians. They just call us a bunch of convicts. And it was one of those sort of Game of Thrones moments, you know, where it's like, wear the name like armor and they can never use it to hurt you.
Makes sense.
Baltech Logibro was a bro though.
He was.
Yeah, and I know there's times like with CCP Burger, he was trying to think of some name that was cool and architectural and whatever because he's into the architecture, and they're like, no, since your name is Burger, then you are Burger.
Just CCP Burger now.
You know, I can't even pronounce Icelandic names, but yeah, it's just Burger because his name is Burger, so he's Burger.
They just swapped the U and the E, and voila.
Ta-da! So, Coffin Maker, because you won, I want you to get in touch with Van Nerdy on the Twitch stream here and send her your in-game name, and she will forward it along to Mr. Convict, and you will get the skin in-game, if I'm correct.
Yep, so either just shoot me a message on Twitch, or I did post our Discord link in there. Hop in there, ping me, Mal Elicon, and then, yeah, we'll get it all done.
Get the cool
Thank you for the bits.
I like bits. I still don't know
We
what the
got a
bits do.
hype train going.
Whoop, whoop. Dun, 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 hype
Limited
train.
time to earn exclusive emotes. See, they
Woohoo.
already replaced the poggers.
Hype train. Dude, look at that thing for 5 more minutes. Sub gift or
Look at
use
the
bits to get
percentage.
to the next level.
Nice.
That's 69.
Nice.
Whoop, whoop.
Hey!
Oh man. Okay, so now you are CCP Convict. You are living the dream of what some of us EVE players. I'm not gonna lie. I have applied for just general postings at CCP because the whole thought of living on an island to me was like, yes, I want to do this. What's it like moving from one island to another island and completely changing your way of life?
Well, yeah, completely changing would be accurate. I mean, you know, this is my first job in the games industry. It's kind of pretty far from my previous career, although there are, you know, certain things you can apply between both.
What did you used to do?
I used to work in politics. I was a communications advisor for politicians in Australia. Sort of.
This is why you're
subnational
good with
governments.
the creative answers.
Sorry, yeah, or bullshit and spin, as it were. No, I used to work for like subnational government leaders. So like you're Canadian, so equivalent of like premiers. Was my jam. So I worked in that field for about 15 or so years while I was playing EVE Online, and this was actually the second job that I technically got at CCP back in 2015 when they were launching EVE Valkyrie. They were advertising for a community developer for that game, And although my heart was set on Eve, I really did want to like come and work for CCP and move over into the industry. So I applied for the job of a Valkyrie community developer and actually won it. They offered me the job. But unfortunately, over the next couple of months, we had difficulty getting me like a working visa for the UK. Even that you'd think as an Australian, going to the UK would be a piece of cake, but there's actually fairly sort of strict in terms of how far removed you can be from your most recent UK kind of like, relative, like at least a grandfather or something like that. And also the UK has, requirements, as many countries do, about whether or not they'll consider letting somebody come and work from another country unless the job is considered important enough, like that they really need to fill it, like a nurse or a teacher or something along those lines. And turns out internet video game, nerd herder doesn't qualify. It's not quite on the same tier of, like neurosurgeon, like I disagree, obviously, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to follow up on that and move to the UK and take the job. In hindsight, maybe worked out for the best, considering that like Eve Valkyries didn't sort of like blow up the way everyone was.
Rest in peace.
But yeah, eventually, yeah. So second time's a charm. When CCP Guard said that he was leaving, announced that he was leaving, they needed to fill his position on the community team, and that opened up an opportunity, and I applied for that, and it was a hard-fought battle, but eventually, CCP invited me to come and work for him. So that was kind of like how that played out. And, since then, we've added CCP Aurora to the community team as well. She is absolutely the bomb.
And she's here next week, people.
Yeah. No, she's a weapon. And she's already done some amazing stuff as well. Like, the Alliance Open probably never would have happened if she wasn't sort of so committed to finding out what was up with Thunderdome, beating it into shape, and she actually had to she had to play out of position on a lot of stuff in order to get that all happening, even so far as to patching the server, the Thunderdome server, writing code for it to patch herself. She has those skills, and I'm absolutely blown away by it. So, yeah, she just
appeared in chat.
Yeah, I was about to say, listen, we just say her name. It's just like, what did I just come into this chat?
We just Beetlejuiced her.
It's amazing.
Incredible.
CCP Aurora.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice.
I was just fluffing your pillow, Aurora, about all the awesome work that you did on Thunderdome and things like that.
For next week. Woo woo.
It's going to be amazing.
I'm so excited. I'm really glad that you came on.
No, seriously, thank you
know,
very much.
Getting to know you. Oh, look, it's little me's in the chat, Twitch. Aw, I'm so cute. Side note, sorry guys, I squirreled there. What has been your favoritest piece of working at CCP so far? Other than the pandemic aside.
Other than the pandemic side, I'm going to say the Plex for Good for the Australian bushfires. That was, for me personally and professionally, super, super proud of how that played out. We hadn't done a Plex for Good in about 5 years, I think. And then this was not long after I started, probably in the order of about 4 months or so. Bushfires, obviously things kept escalating throughout 2020, but at the time it was sort of like, wow, this is it was a tragedy, but we thought you'd get through it. But yeah, so we took it super seriously, and it was one of those moments where I was so convinced after that. I was like, yeah, I made the right call here, because we hadn't done a Plex for Good in forever. As soon as people started talking about it in the community, it immediately was picked up within the company. It's like, hey, we should do a Plex for Good for this. This whole place is burning down, and we could actually do something about it.
The world is on fire.
Yeah, pretty much. And what sort of just blew me away was just the pace and the willingness for everyone at the company to sort of go, yeah, let's do it. So when they kind of ended up ending on my plate to sort of coordinate it. I was going around to various other teams, the art team and stuff like that, and everyone I approached and I said, hey, we want to do this Plex for Good. Do you have time to help us? And they were just basically just sweeping the everything off the desk and saying, yeah, of course, we'll absolutely prioritize whatever it is we need for this. And we ended up having one of the biggest Plex for Goods in only 11 days of campaigning. The community really, really came to town, and it was, for me, it was incredible because I was watching the same pictures on the news
We
as
had
everybody
Spider
else night
shave
after
his
night
head.
and just feeling like helpless. And yet, via CCP, thanks to the community, suddenly I had a tool in my hands which I could use to sort of make things, or to try and help a little bit. And that was kind of personally empowering for me as well and made me feel a lot better. So, yeah, that was an absolutely fantastic thing. So that would probably be my highlight from last year.
Thank
That
you
was
very
phenomenal,
much
yeah.
for all the subs. Ivy
Thank
here,
you,
how you did
baby.
that. Now,
Damn.
CCP Convict, that actually brings me up with a question. So, yes, Plex were good and all the other type of events. Now, one question that like I've talked to Ivy and a couple other people about is, would CCP be ever willing to do like another breast cancer one? Because you know how much everyone...
Rainbow Warquels.
We'll get to that. We will get to that. But like, you know how much everyone loved those pink skins and everything for the orb.
Is that the Rosada Dawn?
Yes, the Rosada
Yes.
Dawn. Like, has
Bring them
that
back.
come across? Because, like, you know, a lot of people would be very interested in that. I'm not saying it has to be or, maybe do some trigs or something like that. But, like, would CCP be willing of...
Pink trig ships? Oh my god.
That'd be fucking amazing.
Would CC be willing to do something like that again?
Yeah.
Almost certainly, yes. Like,
Alright, okay.
I'm sure they would. It's just
When
something
though is
that
the
we...
question? When's the question?
Yeah,
We don't
exactly.
know.
That's sort of like, when does the where does the what's the source of inspiration for it? Like, what charity do we pick? Do we just sort of like decide to do it and like just like picking a cake out of a book, or or do we wait for some sort of trigger? Like,
Yeah,
is there going to be some sort
which
of
is fair.
movement or impetus in the community or the world at large, which is like, all right, we're going to throw in with this. So.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to come across like, are you gonna do this again? I did.
Oh no, not at all. That's not how I
Yeah.
interpret it.
Okay.
That's
No,
fine.
it's because it's just like that was another great thing that you guys did, and also for CCP Blaze, that whole skin pack that you guys did was honestly
I wanted it.
one of the most amazing and very thoughtful and kind things that you guys could have done. Like, when I saw that, unfortunately I didn't purchase anything because funds were tight for me then, but just that showed
It's amazing.
that you guys went above and beyond, that you guys were caring for another one of your coworkers and employees. Like, that was fucking amazing, and just it just makes me happy that I'm playing a game where the devs do take stuff like that.
I agreed, Redline. Redline saying, I wish they'd release the Blaze skins again so that people could still purchase them who still want
Yeah.
to help contribute.
Yeah, like, have you guys thought about recycling old skin packs and everything? Because then also, yeah, that would play a good effect on the market in-game. Because, for example, the Rosada Dawn Rourke skin is about...
20 bill?
It's 20 bill! Yeah!
Yeah.
It's 20 bill!
I know what you mean. I'm a bit of a skin collector myself, and sometimes there being certain skins which aren't available anymore is kind of like, I just really want to round out that collection, so that I can get my hands on it. This is more of a... In terms of our, I guess, like our policy with like how we release skins, it's one of those things like, hey, if we release a skin and say something like Rosada Dawn, where we want people to open up their wallets so that we can fundraise and raise money, a great way to do that is to say this is a limited edition, like this is your only chance to get the skin, because just to give people that extra impetus to sort of like buy them and so we can grow the pot.
My hobby's got a good point. Some of us like to have those elite skins from back in the day where it's got this and it's nobody else can get it. And
That's right.
Below the market.
The exclusivity of it is an aspect of its desirability.
So that I totally love and everything. But what about, say, you exclude the breast cancer skins, you exclude the CCP Blaze skins, and like just the other skin packs that like you guys will say, oh, it's leaving the store, but then have it come back and like cycle through. Like, what about the other non-good, I don't know the proper term, but like
I know the distinction you're going for there between the skins. Like the purpose, like, is it going into CCP's wallet or is it going to some more?
Exactly. Like, if it's going into CCP wallet again, and then obviously don't have the exclusive skins of like the Rosetta Dawn ones and everything, because obviously that money was meant for the donation and everything. But like obviously something like that, like would that be something that you guys might potentially entertain discussing about?
See,
I,
things like
sorry,
the
go.
breast cancer skins, they should always come back. That's what the audience is
Well,
saying
if,
here.
if we were going to do that, what we would probably do instead of reissuing the old skins is basically introduce the same skin line but for new hulls.
Yes, that would be amazing.
And keep growing it over time.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, I think that would probably be more likely because then we still put like these like desirable skins into the game, while still preserving the exclusivity of the previously released skins. Like I'm saying this now, this isn't like an official like CCP policy or anything like that. 6 months from now, like we could be like, hey, we're bringing every single skin back.
Oh yeah,
you never
we
know what's
know.
gonna happen.
Yeah,
We're
and
not
so
gonna
I
hold
can't
ya.
I can't sort of like commit CCP to that one way
Which
or
is
the other.
understandable.
There's some of us who are skin whores who gotta have them all. Pandora Singularity. Just saying.
I didn't get through all of the Winter Nexus sites, so I didn't get all of the new Aurora Universalis skins, which were sort of like so like there's going to be a gap there. I'm not going to be able to just buy those off the market, so it's like next time.
See, and there's cool skins like the Rainbow Roracle skin that was made in Vegas by the art team for me. Like, if that suddenly appeared in the game, it would sell.
I would listen.
It's a Rainbow freaking Roracle. It shoots out rainbows.
That would be amazing, especially when it's an indie core. You know where you
Right?
have the exhaust.
And the
just
rainbows
have
are going out.
rainbow shootouts.
It is.
And then-
It was a beautiful.
And-
like mwah.
But no, what about like a rainbow orca or something like that?
No.
Fair, but like that would just be awesome. Gotta represent that. Exactly, like Adi says, rainbow puke. It'd be fucking amazing. And also the CCP Aurora skins are pretty fucking dope.
LB says, read the Blaze skins. What about releasing 1 or 2 to partners for an auctions? Maintains the rarity, provides another opportunity for the community to provide support, and it gets back out there for those that really, really want it.
Yeah, I'm reading LB's comment. I don't know. There with the Blaze skin at least, and
Food for thought.
yeah, with at least with the Blaze skin, there are other considerations. Like the skin when it was released into the game, all of the proceeds from the skin were CCP Blaze. If people viewing aren't familiar with this, CCP Blaze was one of the developers at CCP who worked on the audio and graphics team, who sadly passed away at a relatively young age, leaving behind his family. And so CCP developed the Blaze skins, which are available. You see them on like the Bar Guest and the Oracle, and I think like the Vexor as well. And all the proceeds from the skin sales were donated directly to his family. And I think the community raised something like $120,000 US. So the reason I just bring that up is if we're talking about the Blaze skins specifically, it's like I just wonder how some people at the company would feel personally about reissuing those without a clear. Because I didn't know Blaze personally, but a lot of people there did, obviously. But without a clear sort of like goal for the funds, I think would have to be.
Give it back to his family some more. Like,
well, yeah, like
they're gonna need it, right?
Like, for example, bringing back the Rosetta Dawn skins, you guys would have to discuss about where's the money going to go for that.
Yeah.
Which is completely understandable.
Yeah, insofar as addressing what LB said about how to reissue it, whereas rather just making it available blanket in the store for anyone who wants to buy it, just having a few examples put up for auction, maybe. I mean, that could be, it could be one of those things where it's just like inaccessible to so many people, because I'm sure in no time at all the auction would the value would be insane, and you'd have some space-rich person, some idle rich sitting on their dragon hoard who just peels a little bit off to essentially win the auction, and a whole bunch of people who would probably
my dragon hoard
like
alone.
it more would not even get a look in. So there are those considerations too. I'm not trying to sort of obstruct all the ideas you guys are having. I'm really just trying to point out that these are some of the things that we have to sort of weigh up when an otherwise like no-brainer idea floats in the community. It's like, hey, why don't you do this?
Hey, we're just throwing ideas out.
Yeah, we're just like take them if you want.
So we've been rattling your brain for an hour now. I've got a couple more skins here, guys, from the lovely Mr. Convict because he's so generous and giving. So why don't you, our lovely viewers, do you have a question for Mr. Convict? Ask away, and some of the best questions might get a skin.
Don't speak out all at once now, guys.
Yeah, come on, guys. Ask
It's
some
a
questions.
it's a big deal, so they're taking their time.
What's your
What's my
favorite
fa-
color?
Typical
Purple.
red line.
That would make Miss Moses very happy. Yeah, I think purple is the coolest color.
Yeah, that makes sense.
How do you get that head so shiny?
I buff it. I have a chamois, and I just sort of sit there polishing it.
Now wait, do you
Most
do that when
annoying
you're
Aussie
thinking?
stereotype. Thekla, that's a good question. Why the hell do I know you, Thekla?
How does it work out time-wise being on streams in a US time zone when CCPers work days? Because it's like 1 a.m. for you in Iceland.
Works all right for me. I tend to keep sort of like fairly variable and weird hours anyway. So that is not a problem.
Who's the best kisser at CCP?
So far, not gonna lie, that is the best question.
I'm agreeing, yep.
I don't know if I'm just trying to think of even just like goofing around at FanFest, oh no, they don't work at CCP. I was going to say like the best kiss. I haven't participated in it, but the best kiss I ever saw, I think, was between Xander Fina and Otto Bismarck at FanFest, like on the karaoke stage in like 2016 or something like that. It was it stirred something deep within me.
So Greydor actually has a really great question. With the worldwide pandemic getting worse with different strains, I presume that's what they meant to say. How will CCP keep EVE on the forefront of the online gaming wave that has happened with the pandemic?
That's actually a pretty heavy question. Well, hopefully, the one thing. Let me think about this. So, as certain gaming companies, certain types of games and things like that have, with people staying at home, not being able to go out to movies and things like that, they turn to other forms of entertainment. And obviously, the gaming industry has benefited a lot from that. CCP has as well, with people spending more time playing EVE, and probably people using this period to be the moment where they go, all right, screw it, I've got all this, I can't go out, I might as well just finally pick up this game that I've been considering for like the last 5 years or whatever it is. And over the course of this year, we've seen, we've moved to the quadrant system. We've got Team Talos' rapid release cadence, Team Ra doing all various live events, which are getting sort of, I think, in my opinion, more sophisticated and more engaging with each iteration. I think the Winter Nexus has been fantastic. I know PvE isn't everyone's cup of tea, but they're very cleverly designing it with the rewards set in such a way that if you want the best stuff, you have to stick your neck out. And I know a lot of people have had some really good fights in null-sec and low-sec. So having this really creative, live event content as well, I think is something that will interest people and keep them engaged. So to answer the question, hopefully the way we make the most of it is by continually putting out really good content that makes people want to. If isolation and boredom from the pandemic has finally driven them to take up the game or log into it more frequently, hopefully the content that we're putting into the game over this period is going to encourage them to stick around and invite their friends. So it's about a sort of a retention thing. If the coronavirus has been the cause of the activation, hopefully some of the content, some of the work we're doing can be the cause of the retention. So that would be my answer to that question.
Okay. Thank you.
Tench wants to know. When is the next Perma-Ban song coming out?
I don't know. Perma-Ban is still technically a thing.
But they're gone.
Even though CCP Guard is no longer at CCP, like for FanFest this year, Perma-Ban was going to perform, and he was still coming around the office all the time for like rehearsals and things like that. So Perma-Ban exists. I think they were working on a new song for FanFest. So there is something in like a demo stage which they didn't sort of complete due to the event getting cancelled and everything like that. So I know there is at least one unreleased, probably uncompleted if I'm to be fair, but one unreleased Perma-Ban song, and I couldn't speculate as to when that'll sort of surface.
What do you think about a memorial for the fight at M2 Tech XFE?
It'll have to be just like a giant hamster, frozen hamster floating in space, scorched fur. Yeah, I don't know. It depends which MTAC2 fight you're talking about. For the very first fight, which is, obviously eclipsed BTAC-R in terms of scale, and BTAC-R has its own graveyard, it would be a matter of trying to think of something appropriate that
I think the hamster wins it, man.
doesn't replicate Titanomachy.
Can you imagine like this little hamster that floats around the sun?
It's funny about replicating Titans,
So someone.
Oh, you went there.
Of
My
course,
Titan was
of
so
course.
close to doing that.
Listen, of course, a no bear will fucking say that.
Here we go. Boxer or brief?
Boxer briefs.
Oh, what flavor ice cream is CCP ice cream?
Oh man, damn. That dude, if CCP ice cream was literally an ice cream, it would be like some crazy sort of mashup that you get from one of those ice cream bars where they put 5 different types of candy in it and pop rocks and he's an effervescent gentleman, very buoyant and positive and always a lot of fun. So it would be something garish and the kind of thing that a 10-year-old would make at a dessert bar. It would just be this
all the
cocktail
flavors.
of everything that he could get his hands on.
What is your favorite Eve ship coming from General Stargazer?
The Widow.
That was quick. Why the
Yeah,
Widow?
I totally know the answer to that one. Yeah, the Widow is it's the coolest looking hull, Scorpion hull. It's the coolest looking livery with the Clachiota skin on it. It's maybe not the most useful Black Ops ship, but I love it. It looks dope.
It does look dope. Sorry, I wanted to get to the one that someone asked a question in the Discord, if that's cool.
Yep, go nuts.
So, Daru Severas, sorry if I butchered that. Does any CCP employee actually rage when something gone wrong, and in brackets, for their character only in-game?
Oh, are you talking about for our player characters?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
so
believe
on it, we have an internal Slack where we sort of keep in touch with each other, and obviously 90% of the channels are work dedicated, for different teams and different issues and things like that. But there's also a handful of just sort of general interest sort of channels for whatever people are into. And there is a channel called Devs Play Eve, and if this is where we sort of post stuff that happened to us or that we noticed. We can always talk about issues with the games or cool battle reports and things like that. And occasionally you will see a post from someone post a kill mail and be like, "This is bullshit." I hit warp and my ship didn't. It was bouncing off some geometry or something, and I got friggin' blown up. And everyone just sort of laughs and hazes them. Lately, it's been CCP Mirage. He's convinced that we've done something to the escalation loot tables. Because he's been doing all these escalations. He's like, this loot is crap. Can I actually be this unlucky, or has we changed something with the table? And he's like, Fozzie, can anyone answer that? And he's just sort of like, why don't you go post something on Reddit about it, dude? Yeah, it's like, but nothing's changed. But he's still every day a couple of posts the day 5 and still just shit loot from these escalations. Something's changed. I just know it.
Okay.
From the New Eden Post, what are your thoughts on making Eve more appealing to women?
Okay, so that's a dicey one, because for one thing, I wouldn't presume to actually know how to do that.
Cute wardrobe in the shop.
Well,
designing my avatar to look super cute. I don't want those boxy men shirts.
And
I want
also, when we wear a suit, we don't want it to go around the tits or anything. In the waifu server, we'll be like, "Yo, what the heck? CCP, please talk to a woman about
exactly. This isn't. I feel like this isn't a question that I can answer very well, but this is absolutely something you should be telling me about."
Fair. We'll ask the other waifus and be like, "Yo, we're gonna send this to CCP."
Mm-hmm.
Cause some of the suit jackets, it literally just
squish the boobs.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
They squish the No.
The other thing too, CCP, please, I know you guys don't control the store completely, but on the Eve store, I'm like, oh man, that shirt is super, I like it, but why can't it be super cute with like a V-neck where I can see a little bit of the ladies, not some like boxy man shirt. I want cute woman clothes.
Do you guys? I mean, like in terms of Avatar style gameplay, I mean, you can get cool clothes. You can get cool clothes for your spaceship, and you get to look at it all day, and everyone else gets to see it too. But when you get cool outfits for your avatar, unfortunately, it's not quite as
Walking in
front and center.
stations. CC, please.
Pepe hands. I miss it.
I like being able to show off my cute avatar. And again, do you know how big my wardrobe can in Jita is? So that I can like pick what I want to wear this week? It's massive. Okay, I really got a kick out of this question from the 3D print master of Eve North. Was there any permanent SP loss / brain damage from dying outside of your pod over and over again?
I don't know. The long-term effects of repeated pod death are still being studied. If there is something that kicks in the ass, I may not know until much more advanced years, unfortunately. So, and hopefully it's not like the old days where you'd make a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of a VHS tape, and at the end of it, you just get all this really bad tracking and static and stuff in it. Eve's cloning seems to be fairly reliable, so I think I'm going to be okay.
You guys have cracked me up with some of these questions.
Also, to Halos, your question, what the heck is a waifu? It's WAIFU, and
go Google it.
Yeah, go Google it. But also
learn the ways.
Yeah, learn the ways of the waifu. But also, there's a cool, awesome waifu server that the wonderful Rain manages, and the other mods in there. It's great. It's wonderful.
It's girls only.
Yeah, it's girls only. It's
what
wonderful.
happened to the death worm from the fish tank at the old CCP office? We were told it went to a farm upstate. Oh my god, the death worm.
Oh, Valdemar. Oh yeah, what happened to him? Try and remember. We pulled him out of the tank. We did a little bit of filming. There was like that made the national news in Iceland. Like that was.
You guys didn't even know it was there?
No, and it probably had been there for like several years, like periodically eating fish. Like there were, I'm to understand that there were like mysterious fish disappearances over the years, and no one could really put their hand on. They'd be like, "Hey, where'd that clownfish go?" I'm sure there used to be clownfish in here, and just be like, I don't know, must have imagined it or something like that. And they'd restock the tank periodically, and then a few would disappear. Yeah, I know he's taken out of the tank. I think he might have met a grisly end.
Oh, that's so sad.
Well, we wouldn't have, we wouldn't sort of like release that into the wild, and it probably wouldn't do so great in this climate anyway, being it's like a tropical bug. So, yeah, he's probably gone to that big bobbit worm cave in the sky.
I mixed up Rise and Antiquarian my first week, and I still cringe thinking about it, says CCP Aurora. How can you mix up Antiquarian with somebody else? Like, Chase is awesome.
You can kind of get it because, like, I mean, they would play off that. I remember at FanFest 2018, they, like, switched each other's hats and, like, borrowed each other's glasses. And, like, their name tags. Just
No, Delana's right. Like, they kind of have enough in common. And I think for one Halloween party one year, they literally just took like Antiquarian's glasses and put them on Rise, and it was this massive like uncanny valley zone for everyone that like just freaked people out. They're like kind of like can't make eye contact, and they're like, no, put the glasses back on, stop that, like because there was something wrong with both of them then.
Manic goes, Rise and Antiquarian are the same person. I've never seen them in the same room together.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of watched them at FanFest, like switching their hats, so I don't know.
You can vouch.
But that's my cats are fighting in the back.
That is super creepy.
On the stream, all you can see is Delana's cats like. Rah, rah, rah.
I mean, it's not a Lasers and Lace episode without Delana's cats.
This is true.
But this is the first time they've been fighting on stream.
Hi, Sasha.
Wow, it's brutal.
Antiquarian's been scamming CCP out of two salaries for years.
Yeah. Oh man, we're on to him now.
You guys cracked me up.
The great fun shenanigans you get up to with lasers and lace. It's a great break from your typical war, her to her, blah blah blah. And
Yeah, we're not all like
Also-
pew pew pew.
It's a
Zap,
nice
zap,
break from all sorts of things happening in places.
exactly.
The places and the things.
And in our Discord server, we actually have a application form that you could fill out. That Ivy and myself and and Diana, we're gonna be sitting down and going through all the applications, and then because we have some great topics we want to bring up.
We want the guests. If you want
yeah.
to be a guest, fill out the form. We'll reach out to you and say these are your date options, and then ask Convict how easy it was. He was like, "Bloop, I want this one," and I went, "Okay," and it was done.
And then I just had to come here and just talk about myself incessantly, which is
It's literally
pretty easy.
If we will contact you and we'll be like, okay, here's the Zoom link, here's this, here's a TeamSpeak. That's it. Please be on Zoom by this time before the show. So
And if you're
myself
not, you're
or Diana-
canned.
No, we'll just have. Well, I will literally make a Microsoft Paint drawing of you.
They're the best. They really are.
They're fucking horrible.
They're great goodness though.
No. So another one had a good. Another person had a question. I'm sorry.
I have to scroll. There was so many.
I see there's a few I've missed too. I mean, some people are asking, some, kind of important questions about like game changes, like making.
Ooh,
I mean, these are outside of. I'm not ignoring your questions. If just these are a little bit outside my wheelhouse, so I'm not going to go Kathleen's like, do we regret putting citadels in the game?
I love
It's not
that
really
one.
my
Coffee?
neighborhood.
That's a good question though. How do you feel though about citadels being put into the game?
Um,
As a player / as your CCP self?
I haven't had to have too much interaction with citadels from like an attacker defender perspective. I find them super useful in terms of for logistical purposes and rebasing and things like that. But I know that there is some consternation about what people are facing, like Pappy is facing in Delve right now, like having to try and chew through that entire region. However, defensively, that's great news for the Imperium. So it's, kind of 6 of one, half a dozen the other. I think there's been some really important changes to Citadels this year, which are probably getting them into a better place. We've seen changes to how they operate in hostile faction warfare space. We've also had the introductions of the cores, the quantum cores, although that is still sort of just phasing in, hasn't even achieved its final form, and it remains to be seen whether, long term, what in fact that is going to have on the game. The purpose of quantum cores is just to make sure that if people put down a citadel, they really, really, really want it. This is what happens when you get a community guy answering a game design question. It's just
We want your thoughts. We do. We really do. Inquiring minds want to know.
Well, it's hard to say. Like when I was trying to illustrate at the start, answering my question, I was talking about how I don't have too much interaction with citadels from an offensive or defensive side of things. That therefore would make me inclined to answer the question and go like, "Oh, citadels are fine," And speaking from my personal experience, they probably are. But for a lot of other players who are interacting with that game mechanic in a different way, oh, nice one, Delana. Who are interacting with a game mechanic in a different way, they would hear someone from CCP say that and go like, "What the fuck? Are you serious?" So it's a little bit of a bear trap.
So is our show on a good day.
Yeah, remarking on game mechanics and things like that. So, that's unfortunately when those sort of things come up. Yeah, it just sort of gets into more of just the generic waffle. It's like, oh, hopefully we're gonna, we'll keep paying attention and listening to your feedback and iterating and all that sort of stuff, which we will. But that's what you would expect me to say. So, and sometimes I realize particularly if a player has got like a really sort of like burning interest in the direction of a feature, hearing that kind of response isn't necessarily going to be all that satisfying for him. So I try to avoid going in that direction with it at all if possible.
So Arachnos has a good question. Have you played Dust 514, and if so, what playstyle did you like the most? What's your best story from the game?
Yeah, I played Dust 514. Super excited for it when it came out. I actually bought a PlayStation 3 specifically for playing Dust 514. However, playing in Australia was not ideal because, as far as I could tell, the servers were in the US and the UK, and the ping
Poor little
from
island.
Australia playing in FPS was not fantastic. So my standard gameplay was just to get absolutely ruffle stomped every single time that I went out. And if I actually killed someone, it was like if I finished a match with like maybe like a 20-1 KD, like that was a good day for me. So it's kind of a bummer, man. I really wanted to like get I was really excited about the game. I wanted to get involved with it properly because I enjoy shooters. However, like a lot of people, I was never like I said, I had to buy a PlayStation 3 specifically for it. I loathe console shooters. I hate using first person ones anyway. I hate using the gamepad for first person shooters. I like it with third person. I play the shit out of Gears of War and a lot of other stuff, but for some reason first person shooters just weren't my jam. I would have loved it if Dust 514 was on PC, but so it goes.
Dust on PC would have been amazing. Thank you very much.
I
for
like
the
this
follow.
one. From Polzlot. I'm butchering names also. What's the number one complaint you hear all the time?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. It's very topical. It's very situational because a lot of issues kind of sort of manifest and come to the forefront of everyone's mind and becomes like the issue for the moment before it recedes and something else takes its place. So in the wake of say like the situation with the servers in M.2 the other week, fixing servers, like CCP, why are you having an MCT sale in the Eve store when your servers are experiencing trouble, which of course those two things are completely unrelated from each other. The way we get the money to get the people to do work on the servers and do work on the game is by trying to have successful marketing and being able to get revenue through sales and things like that. So they actually complement each other rather than be mutually exclusive. Just want to say that. Oh geez.
Take that, Eve community.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm trying to think of what some of the more recent ones that sort of come up are. Right now, just the one that's dominating my thoughts is like the community's reaction to the round 2 in M2. If CCP Aurora is still in chat, she might want to like throw something up there. But yeah, that would be it.
There was another random one there that I thought was kind of neat. How long does it take for an alliance logo to get approved/denied?
Usually, well, first of all, the alliance has to exist in the game for 6 months before you're even eligible to get the alliance logo submitted. We've had cases of people just create an alliance and then go ahead and send in their alliance logo submission, even though they wouldn't be eligible to actually have that considered for 6 months. And sometimes they can be sitting there waiting, going like, "Oh, geez, CCP, this is taking forever," not realizing that that's sort of what the roadblock there is. There is a little committee of people comprised of, I think there's some community people involved in it, but player experience and GMs and things like that who periodically meet and go through the backlog of logo submissions. So it's not on a case-by-case basis. So like the day you send it in isn't the day someone looks at it. It usually goes into a pool, and then every couple of months they sort of congregate, they go through and they check every logo to try and make sure that all the rules are observed, that we're not using anyone's IP, or that there's something inappropriate in there, whether it be overt or very, very cleverly insinuated into it. So it can take a couple of months. I don't know how long this person has been particularly waiting for, if it's been longer than that, but I know that the task force who meets about logos, I'm pretty sure they had a little powwow in December, as recently as that. So depending on the outcome of that, I would have assumed that all of the outstanding applications would have been handled, and it would be up to date as of at least like a month and a half ago.
Another good question by Kafil or Kafi. Sorry. When you play Eve on non-CCP characters, what's your gameplay loop / what do you enjoy doing the most?
So this year I've done a whole bunch of different stuff. At the very beginning of the year was not long after we implemented the sort of the devs play Eve policy change, where we no longer had to preserve our anonymity when we were playing the game. We could, if someone figured out, hey, you work at CCP, right? on your player account, you could just be like, yeah, and move on. You didn't have to be like, oh shit, close the client, go tell internal affairs. They
Really?
witness protect your character and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so I started off the year in. I joined the graduates in the initiative, and I had a lot of fun on Pando's fleets. He was just taking these kickies out, and we were dunking on Rorquals and stuff, and that was a lot of fun. So I did that for a couple of months, and then what came along next was the invasion, and I was really, really excited about that. So this is just on my main. I have 5 accounts and about 13 characters. Most of them are support characters, but I have 3 arguably main characters who have enough skill points to pretty much do all the things. So I left the initiative and I joined Kybernauts, which was a sort of a spin-off of Malevolent Row Industries, I think, that Asherothi set up just to prosecute invasion content. And when I did my end of year video, it's like, what area of space did you live in this year? HiSec. What ship did you fly? Harbinger. Because that was the 3 months of the invasion or whatever it was, where I was just going hammer and tong. Put a lot of hours into that. Then I stepped out of that, and I was wondering what to do next. And I read an article on, what have you been, the New Eden Post? Well, no, it was an Eve News 24. There was an article about NRDS by one of the former members of sort of Proby Block, who was sort of making their own way in the new future in New Eden. Post Proby and what went down there. I thought that sounds really cool. I might join that guy's corporation. So I did, and lived in Great Wildlands for a few weeks. Then we got booted, and
Then we got booted.
now I'm in faction warfare. I'm faction warfare. So. But I sort of I'm still in that sort of circuit breaker mode between what I was most recently doing and the faction warfare transition. So I've gotten some ships in space. I've done a little bit of PvP out there. Blew up in a Cursus the other day. Lost my Kestrel to the next guy. But I'm looking forward to it because I've sort of dabbled with faction warfare over the years, and I think it's an area that could benefit from some attention. And I'm really looking forward to seeing for myself, how it feels and what other players think about it. Because even though I'm not sort of obliged to hide my identity when I'm playing Eve anymore, I don't just sort of announce, "Hey everyone, it's your boy CCP Convict, joined your corporation, woo!" All that sort of stuff. So
I've got
in
a
some
funny
ways,
story.
it's also super handy just to be able to be a fly on the wall in fleet comms and on Alliance Discords and stuff like that, where people with no filter are just saying exactly what they think about the game and think about CCP and things like that. So that's
And you're
really valuable.
this hurts my feels.
I'm very pragmatic about it, because the things that they're saying are not that different from things that I've said over the years as well when I was playing the game.
This is true.
And not all crazy that it may sound, not all criticism of CCP is completely unjustified. So I always wear my big boy pants when I'm flying around.
I say the other. Well, it must have been a couple months ago by now. I had one of my bros reach out to me. He's like, "Do you still live up in such and such space?" I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "Can you help me get some items out of that space back to HiSec where it's safer?" I'm like, "Sure." He's like, "I've got something really, really important." I'm like, "Sure, I will move it for you. No problem." He was one of your corpses that they had managed to ninja loot off a field. So his prize loot that he wanted moved was the CCP Convict corpse.
I mean, to be fair, it's a fucking CCP corpse. So, yeah.
I've kind of flooded the market, though.
You flooded the market?
Yeah, I don't think my corpse is worth too much.
I don't know. It's a hot commodity. This was treated like gold, the uttermost pristine and perfect item. This was very valuable asset to this person.
Oh, I'm glad that they embrace it and appreciate it quite that much. It'd be like if we ran a competition and he'd give away a corpse. First prize would be, "Hey, CCP Convict's corpse," and second prize would be 2 corpses.
I see you, Nolan. I see you, Nolan, out there in the audience watching. I see you.
Just want to give you guys a heads up. We're giving this about 5 more minutes.
I feel so bad for Convict. It's so late for him, and he so graciously came on late for us. So we're gonna let the man sleep.
That's all good.
Yeah. So like,
I had a nana nap before I came on the show.
oh, the best.
I'm full of beans.
But yeah, I just want to say thank you very much, CCP Convict, for coming on and doing this. We are beyond fucking grateful that you came on, especially so late and everything. And CCP Aurora, we're so fucking hyped for you next week.
All the girly things we get to talk about.
Oh my god, it's gonna be fucking
I'm
amazing.
so excited.
And chat, get ready. It's gonna be more questions and everything. Oh, look, already in bed. Look at her. Look at little Miss Fancy Pants. But yeah, no, it's gonna be great, and I promise you, we will be under the new Eden Post next week. I'm
Because
gonna.
Mal won't fuck it up.
Listen, new PC. Hey, new PC. No skip frames and everything, so I'm already doing good. Alright?
Are we gonna dance party out of here?
I don't know, like, what the fuck do we got? Wait, we could play Monster Cat now.
Can we?
The what?
Yep. Oh, we're gonna play some Monster Cat.
Fail.
I could be doing this show from a bed. I mean, it's like right there.
Get like a headphone jack extender
Yeah, same,
and away you
actually.
go.
Alright. Are we gonna have a dance party? Like,
We have to have it. We always dance. We didn't
listen,
get to dance.
it's 3 minutes. 3 minutes till we're done.
Oh, okay, we'll do it at the end then. And then we'll pick somebody to raid. Poof!
Yes, from my bed with the fighting cats, even though they're both on different sides of the bed now.
Oh, good night to everybody that stayed up to watch our
Yes,
show. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we are going to be working on getting our videos from Twitch onto YouTube or something, just so that
So that can be saved.
Exactly. So once again, we do. That is our Discord there that I did post
Join
there.
the Discord.
Feel free to pop in, say hi. Our lovely, wonderful Redline and Rain are in there as well. Yeah.
Oh, we should. We'll go raid Hateless tonight.
Alright.
Oh,
I'm getting music.
We're getting music and we're gonna do the raid. And then you have to dance party with us. Dance party!
Oh, is that a thing? All right.
It is a thing. We just dance. I like white girl dance, because this is all I can do.
I'm just gonna pick something fucking random.
Sounds good. Outro music, exactly.
It's not bad.
Redline! Redline! You have to now make us an outro music song. Goodbye from lasers and plays. They are leaving.
Yeah.
Bust out your mode vocoder.
Oh,
No, Redline, you have to do it. You gotta do it.
you gotta do it now. You've set expectations. Bad expectations, but expectations.
Let's put your after.
Yeah, once again, thank you very much to everyone that did hop out and watch the stream.
Thank you.
Put up with the shenanigans that we do. You have no idea how much we appreciate it. You too, you three dance. I'm talking.
Can't hear no music. We're just dancing with no music hearing.
Listen, it's playing in the stream, okay?
No, I don't trust. I think you're just trying to fool.
Okay, who are we? Who are we rating?
Hateless Gaming. You have to do that again. That was hilarious.
Who are we rating, guys?
Hateless Gaming.
Who are we rating?
I think
We're
I've
doing
said it like
hateless,
4
right?
times.
I keep again hateless.
Hateless? Alright.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the help.
Can't actually hear the genre of music that we're supposed to be dancing to. So
It's actually really nice. Here, wait, I got it for you.
Still can't hear now then.
There you go. If I muted the stream.
Calling this techno hurts my soul.
I I love that he's in a spaceship.
Yo, Arachnos, he's in an X-Wing, not a TIE fighter. Dude, I am so triggered right now. Alright, here we go. Alright, we are rating. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good one. See you next week. Oh, right now.
That was nice.
That was good.
Okay, it switched over. Alright.
Oh, I think we're still live on